Okay, next in the class today, I'm back on the course info page underneath ReadWorks, and I asked students today to do a little vocabulary test with the AWL academic word lists, which we're studying today. So on this paper, the students, they clicked on the test, and there are 10 pages, 10 sections here. And the idea is to choose the words that you know at least one meaning to. This test will change every time you take it, by the way, so you can keep taking it to get a good score. Analyze. I know that word. It is an English word, and I know one meaning. I know the general meaning of consist. But as I go down, maybe this is an English word, but I don't know the meaning, so I should not check it. And then over here we have some words that are not English words, so I will not check these. So the idea is you go through the 10 pages, and I'm especially interested in the first 6 pages, not all 10. It gets more difficult as you go along. So you should get a high score in the beginning pages and a lower score as you go along. When you come to the end of the section, the last of the 10 pages, you will get a score for each sublist. So sublist number 1, it says here that I know 40% of the words on sublist number 1. And that is my score for sublist 1. As I go down, it's all 0%. I'm interested in number 1 to number 6. I'd like you to get these 6 scores, and I'd like you to take them, write them down, or keep the window open, and then go back to Blackboard and put them into a small test area. So it's not a real test, it's a place to put in your scores. And if I continue here, question number 1 is going to be about sublist number 1. So sublist number 1, I got 40%, I put the number 40 here for sublist number 1. Number 2, maybe I got 0. And number 3, I got 0, 4, 0, whatever. All the way up to number 6 is the last one. When you're all done, you click Save and Submit down at the bottom. Save and Submit. So there's no real score here. It's like a test, but not really. It's just a way to tell me what your scores were on that website. I'd like to know. I think it would help me to get an idea about your level. So that's a way to tell me your scores. Now we're going back to course information, and we will find here on course information the final links are about the 2 sublists that we are practicing today. And this again, the last section of the class today was about academic vocabulary. These are the words that we use all the time in college. These are the more formal words of English. These are the words that professors use and academic people use. They're different from the informal English that you might be familiar with. So here's a link to the words. If I click on here, sublist 1, the paper I gave you, this is the paper right here. So basically you're opening it here. If you have a question about this paper, something is confusing to you, there's actually a way to put in your own little comment right on the page. And it's this little plus bar up here, so I'm just going to try it for you. It says add a comment. So maybe I have a question about this part right here. I don't understand that part, the yellow part, and I highlighted it yellow, and I'm going to make a little comment that we could talk about later in the class. So I commented on it. What is this? The yellow section. I selected it and typed a little comment in that area. So that's the file that we're using, the paper I gave you. And by the way, on this paper, we discussed the first page here. We discussed the meanings. Here's example sentences. Then we started to match on the second page. This is actually page number 55, I think, page 55. We were matching the word with the definition over here. So I want you to finish that. Vary is like to change. Here's the definition: to change or be different, down at the bottom. So match those together. Next is taking these words from this exercise 1.1 here at the beginning and putting them in these sentences. So the example uses the word available twice. Number A, this is on page 56, is you have to find one word that you can put in here in letter A, and we need a word, we need a verb after in this part of the sentence, and the best verb is a verb that means something like to think or to believe. And the best one is right here, assume. It means to accept something as true, is to assume. So that's going to be the answer in letter A. We can reasonably assume that these coins date, their original date, is the Roman time in history. And then we can assume that more artifacts we can predict or believe or trust. Now sometimes you have to change the word by putting on an ending here. Here's the endings s, ed, ing. Ing might change it to an adjective. Assuming. He is an assuming man, for example. So try to put the words in here and change the endings according to the grammar of the sentence and the part of speech. Now we're going on to the next page, and in this section here, so we're down to task number 2, page 56, and the last exercise I want you to do on this page is called choosing the specific meaning for the context. In the example, the word area actually has 3 separate meanings. But when I look at this sentence here, only one of the 3 is really appropriate for that sentence. The sentence says, perhaps the most obvious sign of globalization is in the economic area. Area here, it does not mean a part of a city in this sentence. Sometimes it does, but not here. It does not mean the amount of space. It means a particular subject or range of activities. So the answer is C. These words have multiple meanings. Read the whole sentence and figure out which meaning seems to be appropriate for this sentence given here in this area, in the number. So please keep going all the way down to page 58 up to number 10, and then we'll continue with these in the next class. Again, these vocabulary words are some of the most common ones in college. You need to practice them and understand how they work in different parts of speech and in different situations.